In the evening, you do bath. So,
Yeah, evening I didn't do. Morning only, Mangalarti time, that's it. After that, I didn't take it.
so you will be in bath
Mm-hmm.
because of the
Saving water, yes.
because of the
Yeah, yes. Hare Krishna, Sapan Prabhu, Gaurav Prabhu, Suman Prabhu, Sandhya Mataji, Lalit Manu Prabhu, Deepa Mataji. Dandavad pranams. All glory to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for joining today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya. Chaksharanamritam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरम् ॐ अपवित्र पवित्रो वा सर्वावस्थानगतोऽपि वा यस्मरेत् पुण्डरीकाक्षं साभ्याभ्यन्तरं शुचिः श्रीविष्णु 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 Yes. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, entitled as, anyone remembers what is the title? Chapter 2, sorry, Chapter 1, Canto 2, Chapter 1. Audible, right? Hare Krishna. Probably some others.
Yes, Prabhuji, you're audible.
Yeah, I'm just checking Chapter 1 more thing. So what is this? The first step in God realization. Chapter 1. The first step in God realization. So we are at 7th verse. So let us read. Yeah, start Madhuri.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O King Parikshit, mainly the topmost transcendentalists who are above the regulative principles and restrictions take pleasure in describing the glories of the Lord. Purport. The topmost transcendentalist is a liberated soul and is therefore not within the purview of the regulative principles. A neophyte who is intended to be promoted to the spiritual plane is guided by the spiritual master under regulative principles. He may be compared to a patient who is treated by various restrictions under medical jurisdiction. Generally, liberated souls also take pleasure in describing the transcendental activities. As mentioned above, since Narayana Hari, the personality of Godhead, is beyond the material creation, his form and attributes are not material. The topmost transcendentalists or the liberated souls realize him by advanced experience of transcendental knowledge, and therefore they take pleasure in the discussion of the transcendental qualities of the Lord's pastimes. In the Bhagavad Gita 4.9, the personality of Godhead declares that his appearance and activities are all divya or transcendental. The common man, who is under the spell of material energy, takes it for granted that the Lord is like one of us, and therefore he refuses to accept the transcendental nature of the Lord's form, name, etc. The topmost transcendentalist is not interested in anything material, and his taking interest in the matter of Lord's activities is definite proof that the Lord is not like one of us in the material world. In the Vedic literature, it is confirmed that the Supreme Lord is one, but that he is engaged in his transcendental pastimes in the company of his unalloyed devotees, and that simultaneously he is present as the super soul, an expansion of Baldeva, in the heart of all living entities. Therefore, the highest perfection of transcendental realization is to take pleasure in hearing and describing the transcendental qualities of the Lord and not in merging into his impersonal Brahman existence, for which the impersonalist monist aspires. Real transcendental pleasure is realized in the glorification of the transcendental Lord and not in the feeling of being situated in his impersonal feature. But there are also others who are not topmost transcendentalists but are in a lower status and who do not take pleasure in describing the transcendental activities of the Lord. Rather, they discuss such activities of the Lord formally with the aim of merging into his existence. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much. Yeah. 68. Sandhya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Great.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. At the end of Dwapara Yuga, I studied this great supplement of Vedic literature named Srimad Bhagavatam, which is equal to all the Vedas, from my father, Srila Dvaipayana Vyasadeva. Purport. The statement made by Srila Sukadeva Goswami that the topmost transcendentalist, who is beyond the jurisdiction of regulations and restrictions, mainly takes to the task of hearing about and glorifying the personality of Godhead, is verified by his personal example, Sukadeva Goswami. Being a recognized liberated soul, the topmost transcendentalist was accepted by all of the topmost sages present in the meeting during the last 7 days of Maharaja Parikshit. He cites from the example of his life that he himself was attracted by the transcendental activities of the Lord, and he studied Srimad Bhagavatam from his great father, Sri Dvaipayana Vyasadeva. Srimad Bhagavatam, or for that matter, any other scientific literature cannot be studied at home by one's own intellectual capacity. Medical books of anatomy or physiology are available in the market, but no one can become a qualified medical practitioner simply by reading such books at home. One has to admit it to the medical college and study the books under the guidance of learned professors. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam, the postgraduate study of science of Godhead, can only be learned by studying it at the feet of realized soul like Srila Vyasadeva. Although Sukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul from the very day of his birth, he still had to take lessons of Srimad Bhagavatam from his great father Vyasadeva, who compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam under the instructions of another great soul, Sri Narada Muni. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed a learned Brahmana to study Srimad Bhagavatam from a personal Bhagavata. Srimad Bhagavatam is based on transcendental name, form, attributes, pastimes, entourage, and variegatedness of the Supreme Person, and it is spoken by the incarnation of the Supreme Personal, incarnation of the personality of Godhead, Srila Vyasadeva. Pastimes of the Lord are executed in cooperation with his pure devotees, and consequently, historical instances are mentioned in this great literature because they are related to Krishna. It is called Brahma Samhitam because it is the sound representative of Lord Krishna, like the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the sound incarnation of Lord because it is spoken by the Supreme Lord, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the sound representative of the Lord because it was spoken by the incarnation of the Lord about the activities of the Lord. As stated in the beginning of this book, it is the essence of the Vedic desire tree and the natural commentation on the Brahma Sutra, the topmost philosophical thesis on subject matter of Brahman. Vyasadeva appeared at the end of Dwapara Yuga as the son of Satyavati, and therefore the word Dwapara Adav, or the beginning of Dwapara Yuga, in this context means just prior to the beginning of the Kali Yuga. The logic of this statement, according to Srila Jiva Goswami, is comparable to that of calling the upper portion of the tree the beginning. The root of the tree is the beginning of the tree, but in common knowledge, the upper portion of the tree is first seen. In that way, the end of the tree is accepted as its beginning.
Thank you very much, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, these nice statements by Srila Prabhupada. Bhagavad Gita is the sound incarnation of the Lord because it is spoken by the Supreme Lord. So that's why it's called Bhagavad Gita is by Krishna. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the sound representative of the Lord because it was spoken by the incarnation of the Lord about the activities of the Lord. About the so Bhagavad Gita is by Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam about Krishna. What is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam? This is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is based on the transcendental name, form, attributes, pastimes, entourage, and variegatedness of Supreme Person. Different kings, different devotees, different pastimes. We see Srimad Bhagavatam is Amala Purana. Transcendental name, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. Right? So it attached to Krishna. So it's a sound, it's incarnation, spoken by the incarnation of the personality of Godhead, Srila Vyasa. His another name is Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa. Krishna himself appeared in the form of Vyasadeva and written these all the scriptures. Very good. See, Dvaipayana Vyasadeva. Right? Pitur Dvaipayanad Aham. Dvaipayana Vyasadeva. Very good. Let us continue. Okay. Radhika Mataji, Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining. Can you please read?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, 10 minute Pranam. Translation. O saintly king, I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence, yet I was still attracted by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord, who is described by enlightened verses. Purport. The absolute truth is realized at the first instance as the impersonal Brahman by philosophical speculation, and later as the super soul by further progress of transcendental knowledge. But if by the grace of Lord an impersonalist is enlightened by the superior statements of Srimad Bhagavatam, he is also converted into a transcendental devotee of the personality of Godhead. With a poor fund of knowledge, we cannot adjust to the idea of the personality of the absolute truth, and therefore the personal activities of the Lord are deplored by the less intelligent impersonalist. But reasons and arguments, together with the transcendental process of approaching the absolute truth, help even the staunch impersonalist to become attracted by the personal activities of the Lord. A person like Shukadev Goswami cannot be attracted by any mundane activity, but when such a devotee is convinced by a superior method, he is certainly attracted by the transcendental activities of the Lord. The Lord is transcendental, as are his activities. He is neither inactive nor impersonal. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Brahmeti Vadanti Tat Tattvavidas. Tattam Yajna. What is that, Mataji? Deepa Mataji. Vadanti Tat Tattvavidas. The next line. Third
Tattvam
line.
Tattvam Advayam.
Mataji?
Tattvam
Tattam
Tattvam
Yajnanam
Tatyanam
Advayam.
Advayam. Brahmeti
Brahmeti
Paramatmeti
Bhagavan iti Shabda.
Bhagavaniti.
Yes. Three kinds of realization. But this Bhagavatam talks direct relations, the Supreme Personality of God, about Krishna. The direct Bhagavan realization. Direct. It connects with Krishna. Personal relation. If there is impersonal relation, pervaded relation, and then personal relation. Impersonal, pervaded as a super soul, and then personal, directly Krishna. The Bhagavatam talks about directly Krishna, about him. That's the reason. So it's transcendental activities with his devotees and all the various pastimes. 10th verse, I think Mata is done. So now let me see. Gaurav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Please read. 10th one. Translation and purport.
Translation and purport.
Devotees can read.
Translation. That very Srimad Bhagavatam I shall recite before you because you are most sincere devotee of Lord Krishna. One who gives full attention and respect to hearing Srimad Bhagavat achieves unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord, the giver of salvation. Purport. Srimad Bhagavatam is recognized Vedic wisdom, and the system of receiving Vedic knowledge is called Avaroh Pantha, or the process of receiving transcendental knowledge through bona fide discipline succession. For advancement of material knowledge, there is a need of personal ability and researching aptitude. But in the case of spiritual knowledge, all progress depends more or less on the mercy of a spiritual master. The spiritual master must be satisfied with the discipline. Only then is knowledge automatically manifest before the student of spiritual science. The process should not, however, be misunderstood to be something like magical feast whereby the spiritual master acts like a magician and injects spiritual knowledge into his discipline, as if surcharging him with an electric current. The bona fide spiritual master reasonably explains everything to the discipline on the authorities of Vedic wisdom. The discipline can receive such teachings not exactly intellectually, but by submissive inquiries and a service attitude. The idea is that
Prabhu,
Hare
continue.
Krishna.
Continue.
Sure, Prabhuji. The idea is that both the spiritual master and the discipline must be bona fide. In this case, the spiritual master Sukadev Goswami is ready to recite exactly what he has learned from his great father Srila Vyasdeva, and disciplined Maharaj Parikshit is a great devotee of Lord Krishna. A devotee of Krishna is he who believes sincerely that by becoming a devotee of Lord, one becomes fully equipped with everything spiritual. The teaching is imparted by the Lord Himself in the pages of Bhagavad Gita, in which it is clearly described that Lord Krishna is everything, and to surrender unto His solely and wholly makes one the most perfectly pious man. This unflinching faith in Lord Krishna prepares one to become a student of Srimad Bhagavatam, and one who hears Srimad Bhagavatam from a devotee like Sukadeva Goswami is sure to attain salvation at the end, as Maharaja Parikshit did. The professional reciter of Srimad Bhagavatam and the puso devotees whose faith is based on weak hearing are different from Shukadeva's Goswami and Maharaja Parikshit. Srila Vedvyasa explained Srimad Bhagavatam into Sukadeva Goswami from very beginning of the Janmadi Ashya verse. And so Sukadeva Goswami also explained it to Krishna. Lord Krishna is described as the Purush or in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, in his devotional feature as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lord Krishna himself in his devotional attitude, descended to the earth to bestow special favors upon the fallen souls of this age of Kali. There are two verses particularly suitable to offer as prayers to this Mahapurush features to Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Okay.
Do you want
Thank you,
to continue?
Prabhuji. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Other devotee can try. So this is a Bhagavatam 11th canto, 5th chapter, 33 and 34 verses. Now I need Lalpan Prabhu's intervention. Can you please help here, Prabhu? Can
Yes,
you please recite?
ध्येयं सदा परिभवज्ञमभीष्टदोहं तीर्थास्पदं शिवगिरिञ्चिनुतं शरण्यं भृत्यार्तिहं प्रणतपालभवाब्धिपोतं वन्दे महापुरुषते चरणारविन्द्यस्वस्युदिश्यत सुरेक्षितराज्यलक्ष्मीं धर्मिष्ठ आर्यवचसा यदगादरन् मायामृगं दयितयेक्षितमन् धावत् वन्दे महापुरुषते चरणारविन्दम्. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Mahapurusha, feature of Lord Krishna, explained in 11th canto, 5th chapter, 33-34. Suman Prabhuji, can you please read the understanding? These two verses meaning, Srila Prabhupada is giving. Please read. Suman Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. In other words, Purusha means enjoyer and Mahapurusha means supreme enjoyer or the supreme personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. One who deserves to approach the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna is called the Mahapaurusika. Anyone who hears Srimad Bhagavatam attentively from its bona fide reciter is sure to become a sincere devotee of the Lord, who is able to award liberation. There was none so attentive as Maharaja Parikshit in the matter of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and there was none so qualified as Sukadeva Goswami to recite the text of Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, anyone who follows in the footsteps of either the ideal reciter or the ideal hearer, Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaja Parikshit respectively, will undoubtedly attain salvation like them. Maharaja Parikshit attained salvation by hearing only, and Sukadeva Goswami attained salvation only by reciting. Recitation and hearing are two processes out of 9 devotional activities, and by strenuously following the principles, either in all or by parts, one can attain the absolute plane. So the complete text of Srimad Bhagavatam, beginning with the Janmadi Asya words up to the last one in the uh, 12th canto, was spoken by Sukadeva Goswami for the attainment of salvation by Maharaja Parikshit. In the Padma Purana, it is mentioned that Gautama Muni advised Maharaja Amba, Ambarisa to hear regularly Srimad Bhagavatam as it was recited by Sukadeva Goswami. And herein it is confirmed that Maharaja Ambarisa heard Srimad Bhagavatam from the very beginning to the end, as it was spoken by Sukadeva Goswami. One who is actually interested in Bhagavatam, therefore, must not play with it by reading or hearing a portion from here and a portion from there. One must follow in the footsteps of great kings like Maharaja Ambarisha or Maharaja Parikshit and hear it from a bona fide representative of Sukadeva Goswami.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Suman Prabhu. Very well, very good. So, Bhagavad Gita, these scriptures, one has to learn from a proper disciplic succession under proper guru. Then the knowledge is perfect. We cannot, there are so many versions of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, that cannot help us to become devotees. There are word jugglery. This word uses Prabhupada. Word jugglery is there. So nicely written. Maybe intellectually, persons are like, but ultimately one has to come to the platform of devotional service. How many of those interesting literature, their own interpretations, word jugglery, they won't be able to become devotees. Maybe intellectual level, satisfying their senses. Devotional service requires surrender and service. Here writes Srila Prabhupada. Surrender and service. Service attitude and surrender. The Tadvidhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya Upadekshna Priti Jnanam Jnanina Sattvadarshana, right? Service attitude, that is there. Let me see. Service attitude. See? The disciple can receive such teachings not exactly intellectually, but by submissive inquiries and service attitude. On the proper way, we have to do that. The idea is that both the spiritual master and disciple must be bona fide. So here, spiritual master is Sukadeva Goswami and disciple Maharaj Parikshit. Exemplary. Few more points. Lord Krishna is described as the Mahapurusha in the Srimad Bhagavatam, is the 11th canto. In his devotional feature as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lord Krishna himself in his devotional attitude descended to the earth to bestow special favors upon the fallen souls of the age of Kali. Chanting the holy names of the Lord, congregation chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Yes, and some examples. If you see here, Prabhupada writes. So the complete text of Srimad Bhagavatam beginning with the Janmadasya verse up to the last one, 12th canto, was spoken by Sukadeva Goswami for the attainment of salvation by Maharaj Parikshit. In the Padma Purana, it is mentioned that Gautama advised Maharaj Ambarish to hear regularly Srimad Bhagavatam as it was recited by Sukadeva Goswami. And herein it is confirmed by Maharaj Ambarish heard Srimad Bhagavatam from the very beginning to the end. Ambarish Maharaj example, Prabhupada quotes very, very frequently because all of his bodily and all of his senses in serving Krishna. We will learn anchor slokas, right? Sabai mana Krishna padara vindayo vasamsi jirnani punarna. That is our Rishikena Rishikesa Sevan Uchate. So 2 processes, right? What are the 2 processes out of those 9? Anybody? 2 processes very much importance. Shravanam Kirtanam, yes, hearing and chanting. It starts with hearing and chanting, then leads to all of that. At least it starts with hearing, yes, about Krishna, all the Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. all his form, his name, his gunas, his entourage, paraphernalia, activities, everything. Through the hearing only we get attracted. Then chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra like that. It starts with. Let us
So,
continue.
Prabhuji, there is a small trick in this, a small catch in this actually, in the previous 10th verse.
Yes, Prabhu, you can add.
Yeah, there is a sentence which has been stated in Padma Purana saying Gautama Muni advised Ambarish Maharaj to recite Bhagavatam, right?
Yes, Padma Purana is
But
one,
we
right?
have Ambarish Maharaj pastime in
Bhagavatam.
11th canto, 9th canto, right?
Hmm.
So, what Bhagavatam was he hearing? And what Bhagavatam was he advised? Because if it has been already spoken, why would he be in it? Right? He cannot be inside the Bhagavatam. No? Because after compiling this and after reciting this only, then he can read.
Correct.
But Ambarish Maharaj pastime is already in Bhagavatam. And he was advised to read again Bhagavatam. So how can you understand this?
No. Yes.
So actually, the Bhagavatam which we are reading now is only 18,000 slokas, right? But it is said that in some yugas, the Bhagavatam was of 18 lakh shlokas in previous yugas. So Ambarish Maharaj belonged to Treta or Dwapara Sandhya. Okay. So he is before Dwapara Yuga. So he is to also recite. And he is the king from our, this Saraswati kingdoms. Means the present day Pakistan and in India border. He is from that place actually. So how did he read? He read the Bhagavatam of Dwapara and Treta Yugas Sandhya, which consists of 18 lakhs. So who wrote it? The person who compiled that is not Krishna Dvaipayana. Krishna Dvaipayana is the son of Krishna. Is there any background noise from my?
Let me see. Anybody? 1 second. Let me mute. Yeah. Muted, bro. You can.
No. Is it coming from my? Because.
Yeah.
His municipality person, he will exactly choose the time.
Go ahead. Yeah. So that Bhagavatam 18 lakh verses in the previous Yuga, Treta and Dwapara, that time frame. Gautama advised to Maharaj Ambarish to hear
that was not
regularly.
compiled by our Krishna Dvaipayana. Krishna Dvaipayana, he was born in that island known as Dvaipayana, means where the Ganga and one more river, it will get bifurcated, and there is a small island in between. That is where our Matsyagandha, what is her name? Parasharamani. Satyavati. Yeah, that is where Satyavati gave birth to this personality, and he looks very black, and that is the reason why he has got name as Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa. Okay. Yes, he is a personality. He is a amsha of personality of Godhead. And in previous yugas also there was a Vyasadeva. And their names was different than the Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa. And they also, those Vyasas in every yuga, they also compiled these literatures, Vedic literatures, according to time, place, and circumstance. Okay. So it is a cyclic process. It's not a one person. He is the only one who has compiled the Bhagavatam, and that is the only Bhagavatam. It's not like that. Depending upon yuga, many things change. And that Bhagavatam which was read and recited by Ambarish Maharaj was different from the one which we are reading. Okay. Ultimately, what is needed is recitation of Lord's names, forms, and attitudes. That is required. And in this yuga, we have got 18,000 slokas, which is enough for us to go back home, back to God. Okay.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, bro. 11th verse.
Prabhu, this is very important. Huh? Very important verse. Someone can recite this.
Acha. Super. Let me try, Prabhu. Etan nirvidyamananam ichchatam akuto bhayam yoginam rupa nirnitam harer namanu kirtanam etan nirvidyamananam Ichchatam akuto bhayam yoginam rupa nirnitam Harer namanu kirtanam. Saban Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Translation. O King, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of the great authorities is the doubtless and fearless ways of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires, those who are desirous of all material enjoyment, and also those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. Purport. In the previous verse, the great necessity for attaining attachment to Mukunda has been accredited. There are different types of persons who desire to attain success in different varieties of pursuits. Generally, the persons are materialists who desire to enjoy the fullest extent of material gratification. Next to them are the transcendentalists who have attained perfect knowledge about the nature of material enjoyment and thus are aloof from such an illusionary way of life. More or less, they are satisfied in themselves by self-realization. Above them are the devotees of the Lord who neither aspire to enjoy the material world nor desire to get out of it. They are after the satisfaction of the Lord, Sri Krishna. In other words, the devotees of the Lord do not want anything on their personal account. If the Lord desires, the devotees can accept all sorts of material facilities, and if the Lord does not desire this, the devotees can leave aside all sorts of facilities, even up to the limit of salvation. Nor are they self-satisfied because they want the satisfaction of the Lord only. In this verse, Sri Sukadeva Goswami recommends the transcendental chanting of the holy name of the Lord. By offenseless chanting and hearing of the holy name of the Lord, one becomes acquainted with the transcendental form of the Lord, and then with the attributes of the Lord, and then with the transcendental nature of his pastimes, etc. Here it is mentioned that one should constantly chant the holy name of the Lord after hearing it from authorities. This means that hearing from authorities is the first essential. Hearing of the holy name gradually promotes one to the stage of hearing about his form, his attributes, his pastimes, and so on. And thus the necessity of chanting of his glories develops successively. This process is recommended not only for successful execution of devotional service, but also even for those who are materially attached. According to Sri Sukadeva Goswami, this way of attaining success is an established fact, concluded not only by him, but also by all other previous acharyas. Therefore, there is no need of further evidence. The process is recommended only for the progressive students in different departments of ideological success, but also for those who are already successful in their achievement as fruitive workers, as philosophers, or as devotees of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. The big purport, let us give it to everybody. So, who is there? I said, Chandral Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Jiva Goswami instructs the chanting of the holy name of the Lord should be loudly done, and it should be performed offensively as well, as recommended in the Padma Purana. One can deliver himself from the effects of all sins by surrendering himself unto the Lord. One can deliver himself from all offenses at the feet of the Lord by taking shelter of his holy name. But one cannot protect himself if one commits an offense at the feet of the holy name of the Lord. Such offenses are mentioned in the Padma Purana as being 10 in number. The first offense is to verify the great devotees who have preached about the glories of the Lord. The second offense is to the holy names of the Lord in terms of worldly distinction. The Lord is the proprietor of all the universes, and therefore he may be known in different places by different names, but that does not in any way qualify the fullness of the Lord. Any nomenclature which is meant for the Supreme Lord is as holy as the others because they are all meant for the Lord. Such holy names are as powerful as the Lord, and there is no bar for anyone in any part of the creation to chant and glorify the Lord by the particular name of the Lord as it is locally understood. They are all auspicious, and one should not distinguish such names of the Lord as material commodities. The third offense is to neglect the orders of authorized authorized acharyas or spiritual masters. The fourth offense is to vilify scriptures or Vedic knowledge. The fifth offense is to define the holy name of the Lord in terms of one's mundane calculation. The holy name of the Lord is identical with the Lord himself, and one should understand the holy name of the Lord to be non-different from him. The sixth offense is to interpret the holy name. The Lord is not imaginary, nor is his holy name. There are persons with a poor fund of knowledge who think the Lord to be an imagination of the worshipper, and therefore think his holy name to be imaginary. Such a chanter of the name of the Lord cannot achieve the desired success in the matter of chanting the holy name. The seventh offense is to commit sins intentionally on the strength of the holy name. In the scripture, it is said that one can be liberated from the effects of all sinful actions simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord. One who takes advantage of the transcendental method and continues to commit sins on the expectation of neutralizing the effects of sins by chanting the holy name of the Lord is the greatest offender at the feet of the holy name. Such an offender cannot purify himself by any recommended method of purification. In other words, one may be a sinful man before chanting the holy name of the Lord, but after taking shelter in the holy name of the Lord and becoming immune, one should strictly restrain oneself from committing sinful activities with the hope that his method of chanting the holy name will give him protection. The eighth offense is to consider the holy name. No worries. The eighth offense is to consider the holy name of the Lord and his chanting method to be equal to some material auspicious activity. There are various kinds of good works for material benefits, but the holy name and his chanting are not mere auspicious holy services. Undoubtedly, the holy name is holy service, but he should never be utilized for such purposes. Since the holy name and the Lord are one and the same identity, one should not try to bring the holy name into the service of the mankind. The idea is that the Supreme Lord is the supreme enjoyer. He is no one's servant or order supplier. Similarly, since the holy name of the Lord is identical with the Lord, one should not try to utilize the holy name for one's personal service. The ninth offense is to instruct those who are not interested in chanting the holy name of the Lord about the transcendental nature of the holy name. If such instruction is imparted to an unwilling audience, the act is considered to be an offense at the feet of the holy name. The 10th offense is to understand the holy name of the Lord even after hearing the transcendental nature of the holy name. The effect of chanting the holy name of the Lord is perceived by the chanter as a liberation from the conception of false egoism. False egoism is exhibited by thinking oneself to be the enjoyer of the world and thinking everything in the world to be meant for the enjoyment of one's self only. The whole materialistic world is moving under such false egoism of I and mine, but the factual effect of chanting the holy name is to become free from such misconceptions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. 10 offenses. So nicely Srila Prabhupada is explaining here. So every day before chanting, we have to know Sikshastakam prayers and 10 offenses we have to remember. To avoid Namaparada. Now, 10 offenses of the holy name, Namaparada. So first offense, anybody remember? I mean, just quickly, couple of minutes. What is the first offense? To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy names of Lord. Number 2, to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent names of Lord Vishnu. Number 3, to deserve the orders of the spiritual master. 4, to blaspheme the Vedic literature or scripture in pursuance to the Vedic version. 5, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be any imagination. 6, to give some mundane interpretations of the holy names of the Lord. 7, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy names. 8, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda. 9, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy names. 10, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. So those are the 10 offenses. Actually, by heart we have to know. How many of you know by heart? I let one Prabhu, I know. I think Deepa Mata you also know. By heart. 10 offenses?
I don't know by heart, Prabhuji.
Yeah, we have to remember Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, the purport of the sloka is very, very important.
Prabhu?
The translation is very important. Just read the translation.
Yes. Want to read again, Prabhu? You want to read it? Let me share.
No, just read the meaning of it, because this is very important sloka. Many times recited.
O King, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of great authorities is a doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires, those who are desirous for all material enjoyment, and also those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. So, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra gives all the hope, all the benefits, all the good things. Right? So, doubtless, it's no doubt, and fearless, no fear for success. And including those who are free from all material desires. So that is where the beauty of constant chanting the Hare Krishna mantra.
The second one, Prabhu, this we don't hear anywhere. Who are desirous of all material enjoyment. Even for them, this chanting of holy name works.
Okay.
Not in a sense that they'll get all the material enjoyments, but the itch to enjoy this material world, it will come down slowly. So that is where this is very important. This translation is very important. This sloka is very important. See, even if you are attached, please chant. That's what this is the reference which will be taken by many of the devotees.
Correct.
Because Sukadeva Goswami from now on starts Srimad Bhagavatam. Before that, he will give all the glories, what will happen to you if we hear this. And what is the main essence of the life? Till that the answer is still this point. And from here again, it will change. The context will change. So here he says, even if you are attached to the material world, it's okay. Still chant.
That's in that sense, there is one verse, right? Akama sarva kamova moksha kama udarai tivrena bhakti yogena yajante purusham param. So whether you have
Bhagavad Gita guy, no? Yes. Yeah. Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita is Bhagavatam.
Akama
Bhagavatam.
Bhagavatam.
Akama sarva kama. Yeah, let me see. It's a Bhagavatam, Prabhuji. Akama sarva kama va. This one. Yeah, SP through 310.
Oh, okay, Prabhuji. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, there when you talk about, when we talk about whether we have material desires or no material desires, you just have to take up the process of bhakti yoga, chanting the holy names of God. Wonderful verse, actually. You may have heard previously. It's still loading. Akama sarva kama va moksha kama udaravi tivrena bhakti yogena yajante purusham param. So Veda based does not 2, 3, 10 times. Anyway, once it opens, I will show. Then let us continue. This is done. Akincham Prabhu and let us quickly do this. And yeah, Akincham Prabhu, can you please read? It is also, yeah. Akincham Prabhu. Prabhuji, are you there? Hare Krishna.
What is the value of prolonged life, which is wasted? Experience better a moment of full consciousness, because that gives one a start in searching after purpose.
Voice not clear, Prabhu. Your voice is some difference.
By every progressive gentleman, in order to encourage the king, who had only 7 remaining days of the life. Srila Sukadeva Goswami asserted that there is no use in living hundreds of years without any knowledge. Problems of life. Better to live for a moment with the full consciousness of supreme interest to be fulfilled. The supreme interest of life is eternal, with full knowledge and bliss. Those who are bewildered by the external features of the material world and are engaged in the animal propensities of the eat, drink, and be merry type of life, simply wasting their lives by the unseen passing away of valuable years. We should go in perfect consciousness that human life is bestowed upon the conditional soul to achieve the spiritual success, and the easiest possible procedure is to attain this end is to chant the holy name of the Lord. In the previous verse, we have discussed this point to a certain extent, and we may further be enlightened on the different types of offences committed unto the feet of the holy name. Srila Jiva Goswami, Sri Goswami Prabhu. Yeah. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhu has quoted many passages from the authentic scriptures and has ably supported the statements in the matter of the offences of the feet to the holy name. From the Vishnu Yamala Tantra, Srila Jiva Goswami has proven that one can be liberated from the effects of all sin simply by chanting the holy names of the Lord. Quoting from the Markandeya Purana, Srila Goswami says that one should never blaspheme the devotee of the Lord, nor indulge in hearing others who are engaged in belittling a devotee of the Lord. A devotee should try to restrict the vilifier by cutting out his tongue, and being unable to do so, one should commit suicide rather than hearing the blasphemy of the devotee of the Lord. The conclusion is that one should neither hear nor allow vilification of the Lord. As far as distinguishing the Lord's holy name from the names of the demigod, the revealed scriptures disclose DG 10.41 that all the extraordinary powerful beings are parts and parcels of the supreme energetic. Lord Krishna's energetic Lord Krishna. Except for the Lord himself, everyone is subordinate, though synchronized from all sources. Therefore, one should not equalize the supreme. Sorry, bro. Everyone is subordinate, no one is independent of the Lord. Since no one is more powerful than or equal to the energy of the Supreme Lord, no one's names can be powerful as that of the Lord. By chanting the Lord's holy name, one can derive all the stipulated energy synchronized from all the sources. Therefore, one should not equalize the supreme holy name of the Lord with any other name. Brahma, Shiva, or other powerful gods can never be equal to the Supreme Lord Vishnu. The powerful holy name of the Lord can certainly deliver one from the sinful effect. But one who desires to utilize the transcendental potency of the holy names of the Lord in one's sinister activities is the most degraded person in the world. Such persons are never excused by the Lord or by agent of the Lord. One should therefore utilize one's life in glorifying the Lord by all means without any offense. Such activity of the life, even for the moment, is never be compared to the prolonged life of ignorance, like the lives of the tree and other living entities who may live for thousands of years without prosecuting the spiritual advancement. Thank you. Sorry.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu. This is also one of the important purpose. So nice. Yes. So we have to live qualitatively. The life we have given by Krishna, we have to live qualitatively. Qualitatively, that means whatever time we have using for Krishna service. So tree lives, other livings live, may live for thousands of years, without prosecuting spiritual advancement. Age is doesn't matter, time is doesn't matter, only unless we utilize for Krishna service. This is one of the important verse. Second Canto, first chapter, 13th verse. So Prabhu, this is also big one. No? So let us, what we want to read, Prabhu? Let go, Prabhu.
Prabhu, no, Prabhu. We will finish it here. We will make
Yes,
at least one devotee recite that Kunti prayers. It's already.
Yes, one devotee, one or two devotees. They are available. Yes. Let us do. Thank you so much for reading today. Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, first chapter. First chapter talks about the first step in God realization. We are at the 13th verse. We are at 13th verse. We will continue from tomorrow. So let us read this. Let us recite. Whoever likes to do, please let me know so that one or two devotees can be able to do 6 minutes, 12 minutes. Then we can wrap up. So yesterday Deepa Mata is done, Sandhya Mata is done. Previously Samyukta Mata is done. So now today who are like to do? Haribol.
Radhika Mataji, can you recite Mataji?
No, Prabhuji. Yes. Yes.
Radhika Mataji. Then any other one likes to recite? So Chandran Prabhu, you want to try all the verses?
Yes, Prabhuji. I did not practice, Prabhuji, but I will.
Yeah, you can hear how Mata is doing.
Okay, Giriraj Prabhu, then you try Prabhu today. Or Ramireddy Prabhu, any of you two. After Radhika Mataji, any of you two recite.
Yes,
I can try, Prabhu.
You can try, na? Okay, Ramireddy Prabhu and Radhika Mataji. That's enough, Prabhuji. It will be 9:15 then. Right? Okay.
Yeah. You can start, Prabhu. Mata, you can start.
Kunti uvacha Namasye purusham tvatyam Ishwaram prakriti param Alaksham sarva bhutanam Antarbahiravastitam Maya javanikachannam Agnadokshajam avyayam Nalakshase mudhadrisha Nato natya dharo yatha Tata paramahamsanam Muninam amalatmanam Bhakti yoga vidanatham Katham pashimahi striya Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namah Pankajanaಭಾಯ Namah Pankajamaline Namah Pankajanitraya Namaste Pankajangrihe Yatha Rishikesha Khalena Devaki कंसेन रुद्धाति चिरं सुचार्पिता विमोचिताहं च सहात्मजा विभो त्वयैव नाथेन मुहुर्विपद्गणात् विषान्महाग्ने पुरुषाददर्शनात् असत्सभाया वनवासकृच्छ्रिता मृधे महारथाश्रतो द्रोणस्त्रताश्चास्महरे विरक्षिता विपदः सन्तुता शाश्वत तत्र जगद्गुरु भवतो दर्शनं यत् स्यात् अपुनर्भवदर्शनं जन्मैश्वर्यश्रुतः श्रीभिः एधमानामधप्युमान् नैवार्हत्यभिधातुं वै त्वामकिञ्चन गोचरं नमो किञ्चन वित्ताय निवृत्त गुणवृत्तये आत्मा रामाय शान्ताय कैवल्यपतये नमः मन्ये त्वां कलाम् ईशानाम् अनादि निधनं विभुं समं चरन्तं सर्वत्र भूतानां यन्मिथः कलिः न वेद कश्चिद् भगवं चिकीर्षितं तवेहमानस्य नृणां विडम्बनं न यस्य कश्चिद् दयितोऽस्ति कर्हिचिद् द्वेषश्च यस्मिन् विषमामतीर्णिनाम् जन्म कर्म च विश्वात्मन् अजस्या कर्तुरात्मनः तीर्यन्निशिशुयादशु तद् अत्यन्त विडम्बनम् गोप्या ददे त्वयि कृतागशिदाम तावत् या ते दशाश्रुकलिलाञ्जनसम्भ्रमाक्षं वक्त्रं निनीय भयभावनया स्थितस्य सा मां विमोहयति वीरपि यद्बिभेति केचिद् आहुरजं जातं पुण्यश्लोकस्य कीर्तये यदो प्रियस्यान्भवाये मलयस्येव चन्दनम् अपरे वसुदेवस्य देवक्यां याचितोऽभ्यगात् अजस्त्वम् अस्य क्षेमाय वधाय च सुरद्विषां भारावतार ना sorry one second
आरावतारनायान्ये
yeah भारावतारनायान्ये भुवो नावो इवो ददौ सिद्धन्त्या भूरि भारेण जातो यात्मा भुवर्तिता भवेस्मिन् क्लिश्यमानानाम् अविद्या कामकर्मभिः श्रवणस्मरणार्हानि करिष्यन् इति केचन शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्त्यभीक्ष्णशः स्मरन्ति नन्दन्ति तवेहितं जना त एव पश्यन् त्यचरेण तावकं भवप्रवाहो परमं पदाम्बुजम् अप्यद्यनस्त्वं स्वकृते हितप्रभो जिहाससि स्वे सुहृदोऽनुजीविना येषां न चान्यद् भवतः पदाम्बुजात् परायणं राजसुयोजितामहसाम् केवयं नामरूपाभ्यं यदुभिः सह पाण्डवा भवतो दर्शनं यर्हि ऋषिकानम् इवेशितु नेयं शोभिष्यते तत्र यथेदानीं गदाधर त्वत्पदैरङ्किता भाति स्वलक्षणा विलक्षितै इमे जना पदा स्मृद्धा सुपक्वौषधिविरुधा वनाद्रीनादधन्वन्तो ये दन्ते तव वीक्षितै अथ विश्वेश विश्वात्मन् विश्वमूर्ते स्वकेषु मे स्नेहं पाशमिमं चिन्ति दृढं पाण्डुषु वृष्णिषु त्वयि मे नन्यविषया मतिर्मधुपते सकृत् रतिम् उद्वहता दग्धा गंगे वौगमुदन्वती श्री कृष्ण कृष्ण सख वृष्ण ऋषभावनीतृग राजन्यवंशदहनानु पवर्ग वीर्य गोविंद गोद्विज सुरार्ति हरावतार योगेश्वराखिल गुरु भगवन् नमस्ते.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Really good. Hare Krishna. Ramiri Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Kunti uvacha Namaste Purusham Tvadyam Ishwaram Prakrite Param Alaksham Sarva Bhutanam Antarbahir Avastitam Maya Javani Kachannam Ajnadokshajam Avyayam Nalakshase Mudadrisha Nato Natyadharo Yatha Tata Paramahamsanam Muninam Amalatmanam Bhakti Yoga Vidanartham Katam Pashyemahi Striyaha Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namah Pankajanabhaya Namah Pankajamaline Namah Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangraye Yatha Rishikesha Kalena Devaki Kamsena Ruddhati Chiram Sucharpita Vimochitaham cha sahatmaja vibho त्वय्येव नाथेन मुहुर्विपद्गणात् शान्महाग्नि पुरुषाददर्शनात् असत्सभाया वनवासकृच्छरता मृधे मृदेनेकमहारथाश्रितो द्रौणस्त्रतश्चाश्म हरेभिरक्षिता विपदसन्तता शाश्वत तत्र तत्र जगद्गुरो भवतो दर्शनं यत् स्यात् अपुनर्भवदर्शनम् जन्मैश्वर्यश्रुता श्रीभिरेधमाना मदः पुमान् नैवर्हति अभिधातुं वै त्वम् अकिञ्चन गोचरम् नमो किञ्चन वित्ताय निवृत्त गुणवृत्तये आत्मा रामाय शान्ताय कैवल्यपतये नमः मन्ये त्वां कालमीशानाम् अनादिनिधनं विभुं समं चरन्तं सर्वत्र भूतानां यन्मितः कली न वेद कश्चित् भगवान् चिकीर्षितम् तवेहमानस्य नृणां विडम्बनम् न यस्य कश्चित् दयितोऽस्ति कर्हिचित् द्वेषस्य यस्मिन् विषमामतिर्नृणाम् जन्म जन्म कर्म च विश्वात्मान् अजस्य कर्तुरात्मनः तीर्यन् ऋषिषु यादशु तदत्यन्तविडम्बनम् गोप्या ददे त्वयि कृता गसिधाम तावत् याते दशाश्रुकलिलाञ्जनसम्भ्रमाक्षम् वक्त्रं निनीय भयभावनया स्थितस्य सा मां विमोहयति वीरपि यद्बिभेति केचिदाहुरजं जातं पुण्यश्लोकस्य कीर्तये यदो प्रियस्यान् ववये मलयस्येव चन्दनम् अपरे वासुदेवस्य देवाख्यां याचितोऽभ्यगात् अजत्वम् अस्य क्षेमाय वधाय च सुरद्विषाम् भारावतारणायान्ये भुवो नावा इवो ददौ सीदन्त्य भूरिभारेण जातो ह्यात्मा भुवार्तितः भवेस्मिन् क्लिश्यमानानाम् अविद्या कामकर्मभिः श्रवणस्मरणार्हानि करिष्यन् इति केचन शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति अभीक्ष्णशः स्मरन्ति नन्दन्ति तवेहितं जना त एव पश्यन्त चिरेण तावकं भव प्रवाहो परमं पदाम्बुजम् अप्यद्य न स्वं स्वकृते हितप्रभो जिहाससि स्वेत् सुहृदोऽनुजीविनः येषां न चन्याद् भवतः पदाम्बुजात् परायणं राजसुयोजितां हसाम् केवयं नामरूपाभ्यां यदुभिः सह पाण्डवः भवतो दर्शनं यार्हि ऋषिकानाम् इवेसितुः नेयं शोभिष्यते तत्र यतेदानीं गदाधर त्वत्पदैरङ्किता भाति स्वलक्षणविलक्षितैः इमे जनपदान् सुहृदा सुपक्वौषधिविरुधः वनाद्रिनाद्युदन्वन्तो एदन्ते तव वीक्षितैः अत विश्वात्मान् विश्वमूर्ते स्वकेषु मे स्नेहपाशम् इमं चिन्दी दृढं पाण्डुषु वृष्णिषु त्वयि मे नान्यविषया मतिर्मधुपते सकृत् रतिम् उद्वहताद् आद्धा गङ्गे वागम् उदन्वति श्रीकृष्ण कृष्ण सकवृष्णिऋषभावनी दृक् राजन्यवंशदहनानपवर्गवीर्या गोविन्द गोद्विज सुरार्तिहरावतारा Yogeshwara Guru Bhagavan Namaste. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Giraj Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Please take care of the call. Thank you.
Yeah, we can close actually. Yeah, we'll continue tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining today again. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhaivacha patidanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anantakoti Vaishnavavrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Transcendental Reading ki jai. Queen Kunti Maharani prayers ki jai. Jai Gaur Hari Premnande Hari Hari Bol. See you all tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll complete all the recitations we were left. On Monday onwards, we will learn all the Guru Parampara prayers. Okay. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Have a happy Krishna conscious Thursday. Hari Bol.